National Masturbation Month begins. Are you excited? I'm excited. I've been thinking about National Masturbation Month since, well, last year. And I thought, you know what would be funny? Watching a porno every single day and talking about it. So I'd have goodness, what was that? So 31 days of porn every single day throughout the month of May. I'd watch a new porn video and make a video about it. Wouldn't that be funny? Well, the idea is kind of funny, but I don't know if the execution would be that funny. So I thought about it, and there were two problems. One being I didn't think it was that funny, and two, I really didn't want to do it. But I think the idea of, 30 days of porn is a kind of a funny idea. So I thought, I'll do it as an April Fool's joke. So on April 1st of this year, I released 30 Days of Porn, Day 1, whatever the movie was. And, well, you can watch the video yourself, but the joke was on me. So here we are. It's the month of May. National Masturbation Month has arrived, and I'd really like to do something to celebrate it. But I'd like, if I may, to celebrate it with you. So, what can we do? Well, I don't really want to watch a porno every single day of the month. That would bore the hell out of me. So I thought, you know what? It just so happens that I own 4 movies with explicit sexual content. Not pornos per se, but movies that do have hardcore sex in them. So, each week, we are going to watch one of my movies. The first one is Slaughter Disc. Mike loves porn. Okay, this is not Japanese, sorry. Mike loves porn. Unfortunately, he is blinded by his addiction to XXX pornography as it slowly eats away at every aspect of his life. One day, a mysterious DVD arrives in the mail, and Mike quickly begins to realize there is a much darker side to the world of adult entertainment. Bondage, murder, self-mutilation, cannibalism, necrophilia. These are just the icing on the cake of this journey into hell. So says the back of the box. Now, this is one of my movies. I've seen it before. 2005. So, yeah, it's probably been 10 years since I've seen it. So, I remember it being somewhat of a kind of a Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone kind of thing, having a twist ending. I'll talk about it more after I watch the movie, but I remember it being okay, so let's see if I still think it's okay. So, not a good movie. I don't recommend it. And I'm going to spoil the ending. So, there are probably 2 fairly notable things about this film. One, it is horribly incompetently put together, both from writing, performances, sound, cinematography, editing. Everything is terrible. But it's incompetent in that endearing and charming way that really bad movies often are. If this weren't completely X-rated, this is probably a movie that Mystery Science Theater 3000 might take on. So it is actually kind of fun to watch the movie at times. For example, early in the film, Mike is in a video store. And it doesn't look like they were allowed to shoot there. Because he's talking on the phone, but you can barely hear him. It's like he's being really quiet, so they don't catch them filming in a video store where they had no business being. Then he walks up to the counter, and the whole thing is green screened. It's like they took a still picture of the wall of a video store and then screened it behind the other actor. So yeah, they obviously did not have permission to film there. Later in the movie, he's at a bar waiting for a friend, and it tries to denote the long passage of time by superimposing a clock face spinning over the image, like hours are passing. And it was obviously done by taking a small clock, putting it in front of a video camera, and manually turning the back to get the hands to revolve around it, because because the hand is going move, 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 like someone's It's not the smooth, constant circular motion you'd see in most movies that try to do something like that. So that's pretty funny. A lot of things like that. The second notable thing about this film is it actually does have some cool ideas. Like The Ring. The slaughter disc, although it's not called that in the film, is actually a cursed video or cursed DVD. So this guy, Mike, what's interesting is I read the back of the box and it says, one day a mysterious DVD arrives in the mail. Well, I guess the DVD is mysterious, but the way this reads, you would think that the DVD just shows up at his apartment. How did this get here? Who ordered it? He ordered it. He went to an adult shop. He bought a magazine. It's the video shop that I was just talking about. He goes up to the counter, which is green screened, and he buys 2 DVDs and a magazine, and it costs him $115 and some cents. Wow. So he's flipping through the magazine. He's, oh, this Andromeda Strange, which is the person on the cover. Oh, she's really hot and freaky and does all kinds of weird stuff that's been banned in every country. I've got to go to the website and order this. And so it cuts to his bedroom where he has a Mac computer, the old one that is the monitor with the transparent casing that's like a purple color, although they came in different colors. And he's got a bumper sticker, a sticker on the front of his computer monitor, which says, I heart vagina. That's dedication. So you get to watch him go to a website and buy a DVD. You get to see him fill out his credit card and address. You get to see almost all of that. Another interesting thing is I'm pretty sure that on the website the DVD costs $35, and he says in like the next scene, oh, I just blew $50 on this thing. Maybe I heard it wrong. The dialogue is hard to hear a lot. So it comes in the mail because he ordered it. I suppose the DVD is mysterious, but whatevs. So he watches the DVD, and Andromeda Strain puts on a show and does a striptease, and then starts masturbating with a demon skull dildo, which apparently does not agree with her insides because she starts bleeding all over the place. And then she mops up her bloody crotch and rubs it all over her chest and face, and blah, 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 blah. And then she takes a razor and she slashes her wrist, and then she starts licking that, and then she slashes her throat and dies. Good times. Now, what's interesting about this is the character of Andromeda Strain is ostensibly dead. She's laying there. 1,000-yard stare, blood, throat agape. Um, and our protagonist is sitting there with his hand jammed down his pants going, um, well, this is, maybe I'll go find something else to do with my afternoon because I've lost the enthusiasm somehow. But the next day he turns it back on anyway, and there is Andromeda Strain, still dead, still big gash in her throat, but she's kind of zombified now. She has the zombie contact lenses, and so she's undead, I guess, which is kind of neat. So she unveils a naked guy in a chair, and then she performs oral sex on him, and then kills him. And once again, our protagonist is hand jammed down pants. He's like, yay, oral sex scene! And then she says, hey, you know what I like having splashed on my face? And she pulls a razor out of her vagina, one of those folding ones that you shave with. Well, I use a regular shavy razor, not one of those collapsing foldable ones, but whatever. And the guy whose mouth is duct tape is like, and she's like, and she slashes his throat, and it goes splurp all over her face, but not like the spray that you normally see in horror movies. It really looks like someone had a bottle of Heinz ketchup off camera, because it's like the consistency of toothpaste. Whatever. And so once again, our protagonist is just not... He's like, this is kind of hard to masturbate to. But he comes back again. And, another interesting thing about this movie is the lead actor, Mike, does not do any nudity. This is an explicit movie with explicit sex, except our lead character. All of his masturbation is done with his hands in his pants, or with the camera cut off above the waist, so it's all pantomimed. Which is, did they just run out of actors who were comfortable doing sexually explicit work on camera? It's just kind of weird that Mike, our lead, is softcore in a hardcore movie. So the next day he watches the... he's walking through the living room, and for some reason the damn DVD is always on. He's like, didn't I turn this off? And he turns it off. And then one time, it's funny because it's like the DVD is waiting for him. And that's some of the cool stuff that they do. He walks into the living room and out into the kitchen, and Andromeda Strain's sitting there just kind of putting on lipstick like she's waiting for him to get back to her. And in fact, he goes to work and he goes, sorry, Andromeda, I have to leave. And she, real quick, right before the TV shuts off, you see her go, she looks at the camera like she's really ticked off that he's ignoring her. It's like, oh my gosh, the tape is alive. And then so he comes home again and he watches the DVD, and he got fired from his job. He went to the bar where the clock thing happened. He was going to meet his friend John, as John stood him up. So he went home, watches the DVD, and oh my gosh, Andromeda Strange, has John tied to a bed. And he's like, John, you dog, you got in this porno thing. You should have told me that. And then of course the sex scene happens. He's like, John, you dog, you. And so the sex happens, and then Andromeda Strange gets all cuddly, and she's like, was it good for you? And he goes, yeah, bitch, no one's ever fucked me that good. And this is a woman that just kidnapped you, duct taped you, tied you to a bed, and raped you. Probably not someone you want to call a bitch. And it's true. She is not someone you want to call a bitch because... And he says, oh, I'm sorry, it just slipped out. And she slipped out? Oh, look, a hammer. Thwump. Oh, it slipped. Oh, look at that. Oh, the hammer keeps slipping. And she bashes his head in with a hammer until his head is goopy paste. And then she shovels the goopy paste of his head into her face, into her mouth. And goes, num, 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 num. And, of course, our chronic masturbating hero is going, pretty sure it's fake. And he's trying to call John, but nobody's answering. And on the TV screen, Andromeda is stuffing him into a bag and then dragging him outside. And he's still trying to call John, and she's burying him outside somewhere. And he goes, I recognize that location. This is a prank. So he goes to the location, and he sees nothing there, pulls out his phone, and this was like 2005 or whatever, so it's a flip phone. Calls John, and he hears ringing from beneath the earth. And, of course, he digs up John's body. That's actually a pretty cool idea. I mean, the execution is terrible, but that's not a bad idea. So he panics, and he calls his girlfriend who dumped his dumb ass because he kept standing her up to masturbate. And according to her, they have a very, very, very frequently active sex life. So you can understand why she would be a little bit ticked off. She breaks down his door and it's like, you were masturbating again! He's like, well, yeah, I was relieving tension and you weren't around. And she says, I wasn't around because you didn't come pick me up from the airport, you jackass! Fair point. So that's why she dumped him. Anyway, he calls her and she's like, call 911, dumbass! So he does. And then he goes home, and he watches his porno again, and there's his girlfriend in the porno. And she gets killed. And Andromeda Strange, not Andromeda Strain, Andromeda Strange. She gets more and more decomposed. The makeup isn't great. I mean, it's not like Canby or Tom Savini level awesome, but it's kudos. They do pretty well with it. She ends up like the ghost girl in the ring. She ends up in the apartment, Sadako, or who is, I think the American one was Samara, whatever, the long-haired creepy ghost girl in the ring. She ends up in the apartment, and she straddles him and starts licking his face, and he's like, do I have to die? I don't want this to end. And she says, oh, Mike, sweetie, you're already dead. And they both turn and look, and the camera pulls out away from the TV, and he's on the DVD. And the camera pulls out, and his body is lying dead on the apartment while he's actually stuck in the DVD. Yeah, not a bad Tales from the Cryptish ending. So there's really a lot to admire about this. I wouldn't recommend it because it's boring. It's also hard to watch. Not because you porno or you gooey gore stuff or you porno with gooey gore stuff, but because if you were into filmmaking in the mid-90s, you probably heard of the video toaster. You probably used it. This was I'm not going to take the time to explain it, but they use it's like they had effects and they made sure they used all of them, because you're watching the sex stuff and it goes black and white. It goes negative image. It goes color filters. It goes double exposure. It goes frame drop. They use every video filter and effect. There's constantly an ampersand, not an ampersand, the at symbol, sorry, swirling around the screen, and little skulls superimposed over the screen floating across. It's weird and an odd artistic choice. So, but again, incompetent in that endearing, aw, aren't they cute? They're making a movie, it's adorable, that kind of a way. And admittedly, there are some good ideas here. The execution is almost uniformly horrible, but you know, there was some good ideas, even if they couldn't execute them properly. So, hey. So that's Slaughter Disc. Next week, we'll watch another one of my movies that happens to have explicit sex in it. This one's a cartoon.